Hello everyone, my name is Rick van Bruggen from Neo, and here I am recording a podcast episode together with a uh, wonderful guest on the podcast episode from all the way from California, Ashley's son. Hi Ashley.
Hi, Rick. Thanks for
Hey,
having me.
hey, thanks for coming on the podcast. Ashley, you work
Yes.
for Lending Club, right? And I've
Yes.
seen some of the videos of Graph Connect, and I've read a little bit about what you guys are doing. But why don't
hmm
you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Okay. So, hi, I'm Ashley, and I work on the DevOps team at LendingClub based in San Francisco. I work a lot on deployment and release automation, and I use Neo4j to do it.
Wow, that's great. And how long have you been doing work with Neo4j, Ashley? Has it been for a long time already, or?
Only a little over a year, I'd say. So my manager first introduced it to me. I think he kind of stumbled upon graph databases on Twitter or something, and he's like, "Hey, check out this new thing called Neo4j." And so we kind of started playing around with it, and it quickly evolved from just like a side project to being like a really critical part of a lot of our release and deployment automation and infrastructure mapping and app auto discovery and a lot of other things actually.
Well, that's a great segue into, what do you guys use it for exactly, Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So we use it for a lot of things actually. So as I was saying, I guess it was kind of very opportunistic. What we started using when we started using Neo4j. We had a lot of problems in DevOps, some growth pains, so we started, with maybe like 5 microservices. And a couple years later, we're like almost at 150. And so it was getting really difficult to manage and keep track of all these services. And so what we did is we used Neo4j to keep track of all these instances. We had them radio home. So we have this internal app called MacGyver. So we had them radio home every minute to MacGyver, and MacGyver would save all these app instances in Neo4j. And so already immediately we just gained a lot of visibility into what services were out there, where they were running, a lot of info like that. And it was really low maintenance. It was easy to scale. We didn't have to do any work because these new instances would just keep reporting back to MacGyver and get saved into Neo4j. And so from there, we were like, oh, this is really useful. So we're going to take this a step further. And so at Lending Club, we use blue-green deployments. And so basically, this just means that we have 2 pools for every app. And at any given time, only one pool is live. And so we didn't have a good way before to track what pool was live and what pool was dark. And so we started using Neo4j. We were already mapping our app check-ins. And so we took that and then kind of within Neo4j created these server nodes, which we then mapped to belong to pool nodes, which we then mapped to belong to service groups. And so by keeping track of what servers existed in what pool and whether that pool was live or dark, we were able to automate our releases. And so whereas before it was releases were very manual, we'd have to like go into this GUI and like check mark all these boxes, and it was just very tedious and very time consuming. And so now with Neo4j, we were keeping track of all this info, and so it was just really quick. It was like a flip of a switch, and we could make a pool live or dark, or even like really easily like look up what pool is live. And also we use it to like track the health of our instances and our apps. So that was also really, really important, and that's what we're using now for deployments.
Super cool. By the way, I love the naming. I am a big fan of MacGyver.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually my manager came up with the idea of the name, and I had no idea what MacGyver was. It was a little before my time. I was like, is that like MacGruber from SNL or yeah. So I had to watch an episode of MacGyver to kind of
Well, I guess I'm showing my age here a little bit. But, hey, but actually, so it's basically what you're using it for, like dependencies between all the microservices. Is that what I'm hearing? You're basically tracking everything with these pingbacks, these automated pingbacks, but then you're mapping that onto like a model of all of your microservices. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, that's correct. So taking the instances and then kind of arranging that data in a way that becomes useful so that we know where our apps are and what's live at any time and what's dark. And also even, so we're mapping these dependencies from like services. So we map them onto, for example, vCenter instances and vCenter hosts. And then we take those vCenter arrays and then map those to our storage arrays and our storage volumes. And so what we get is like this huge mapping of our infrastructure. So for example, if we want to find like a single point of failure, for example. So if we have an app called, I don't know, ABC, and all of its instances reside on one vCenter host, then if that host goes down, then our entire app is wiped out. So that's a single point of failure. And so we use Neo4j to keep track of things like that, to avoid these, it would be like a huge disaster if that were to happen.
Yeah. And I seem to recall from one of your talks that you also use this tooling to help you guys do more stuff with Amazon Web Services. Is that, can you tell us a little bit more about that, or did I get that completely wrong?
No, you're totally right. So one of our multi-year projects is we're moving into AWS. And so we're just starting that process now, but already we are mapping a ton of AWS stuff into Neo4j. So for example, like our VPCs, our subnets, availability zones, our RDS instances and EC2 instances, those map to like load balancers, auto scaling groups, launch configs, and so you can tell already it's just like a huge map in Neo4j. And so there's all these different parts, but we kind of are able to make sense of it by mapping relationships together in Neo4j. And also as we move into AWS, we'll start using code deploy, but again using Neo4j to kind of automate that and put that into MacGyver, so that cool. Developers at any time can say, "Hey, I need an instance, and I want to launch this app onto it." It'll just be really simple, and we'll use MacGyver and Neo4j to do that.
Super cool. So that sort of brings me to the question that I ask everyone on this podcast. Why Neo4j? Why a graph database to do what you're doing? Was there a specific reason for that? Or is there anything you want to call out that you really like about it in your current environment?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I guess first off, the low latency and it's really the ad hoc querying is super, super useful. I think another thing that really stands out to me is how flexible and scalable Neo4j is. So, we started small just with app instances, but it's really easy to build new layers and new relationships on top of already existing ones. And so where we started with just app instances, now it's become this huge infrastructure mappings of like so many different types of nodes. But it's really cool how with Neo4j, your data set can really easily evolve and grow in terms of complexity or structure. And I think that's been it's just so easy to use, and that's why we've been able to keep using it. And also, obviously, it's just really good at, graphing relationships between things and mappings. So that's what I really love.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Do you guys use Cypher at all to do like the interactive querying or
Yeah.
You do.
So actually within MacGyver, we have like a web interface for Neo4j, and people can enter in Cypher queries to look up stuff.
Super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So where is it going, Ashley? Where are you guys going to take Neo4j in the future? Any perspectives on that? I'd love to know more about that.
Well, I mean, it's already like a really integral part of MacGyver, and we're just kind of using it to hold everything together. And MacGyver also has become like a central point of information. So, as I said, as we move into AWS, we're going to keep putting all that stuff into Neo4j. We also are using it to track our asset management, and even so as I was saying before, the infrastructure mapping. We could add network and database components into that, and just keep building the infrastructure map, keep building our AWS map. And another thing that's on the roadmap is to utilize those app instance check-ins. to create a service registry for all of our apps. And so that way we can keep track of, who owns this app, or maybe if we map it to GitHub repos, what repo is it, or what Jenkins job does this correspond to, or, is this app public? And so we'll have a service registry of all our apps where people can go and just, find out info that otherwise would be difficult to pin down.
Super cool. I think it's a great use case for Neo4j, and I'm so happy that you guys found your way to it and are getting good use out of Neo4j.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's really great, and I think we'll wrap up the podcast for now. I really want to thank you for coming on online and talking to us about it. If you don't mind, I'll share a couple of links to your video from Graph Connect.
Oh yeah, of course.
On the blog post as well. So, I look forward to hearing more about you guys as you guys expand and as you guys grow the service with Neo4j.
Awesome. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Ashley. Bye.
Bye.